Okay, first of all, I want to thank you all for inviting me to this symposium. And it's really my honor to be able to give a talk at the TUAT. And in this talk, I will use Sambar deer as an example to talk about the management of wildlife in Taiwan. And Sambar was very scarce in Taiwan before 1980s. Like Dr. Pace has said that hunting was legal or popular before 1980s. Back then, hunters were young and large in numbers. And the Chinese people are very interested in eating wild game meat. So there's a huge demand for, for this market. So indigenous people, it's a very important source of income for indigenous people to hunt wildlife in Taiwan. And also the logging activities are still going on back then. So this logging activity destroyed the habitats of wildlife in the mountains. And also in order to harvest trees in mountains, there are logging roads going deep into the mountains in Taiwan. The length of the logging road is like 3,000 kilometers in Taiwan. How long is 3,000 kilometers? It's efficient to circle Taiwan several times. And imagine that this long roads goes deep into the mountains. So the habitats of wildlife has been fragmented and destroyed. And these roads also enhance the efficiency of hunting because hunters can reach everywhere in the mountains by riding motorcycles. But after 1980s, pretty much everything has changed because the hunting was prohibited by the Wildlife Conservation Act. And this law pretty much eliminate the transmission of hunting heritage, the traditional hunting heritage of indigenous people. So very few young people become hunters. And people care more about the conservation of wildlife, so they no longer eat wildlife meat. And Taiwan experienced an economic boom during 1980s, so the hunters do not need to rely on hunting for their income. And also, logging has stopped in 1991. So all the logging roads has been abandoned. And the protected areas like national parks has been established. So the pressure on Sambar deer has been eliminated after 1980s. Okay, this map shows the increase of Sambar deer abundance and distribution. The study was conducted by Ms. Zhong Jialing. She interviewed experienced hunters and forest rangers all over Taiwan and asked them about the abundance and distribution of Sambar deer in their local areas. So we can see that before 1990, Sambar deer was scarce in Taiwan. And after that, after the pass of Wildlife Conservation Act, the distribution and abundance of Sambar deer started to increase from the central mountain range. And if we look at the most recent map, you can see that in the central mountain range, there are abundant of Sambar. And now we look at the more recent history of Sambar deer. The Forestry and the Natural Conservation Agency established a long-term monitoring network of camera traps all over Taiwan. And this set of cameras has about 200 cameras. And another set of cameras are specifically designated for the protected area. There are about 60 of them. And also we put over 130 cameras at bear hotspots to monitor the population trend of black bear. And the government, the Taiwan government, is addicted to camera traps. They like more camera traps for the management and research. So they plan to put more cameras. I know the number will be like 600 in total this year. So next time when you visit forest in Taiwan, you might be captured by one of those cameras. Okay, with all the data combined, we can see a clear trend of increase of sambar deer, especially at higher elevations. And the number of, I should say, the abundance of sambar has reached a maximum and a stable status in recent years. Okay, let's now look at even more local areas. This area is close to Yushan, which is the tallest mountain in Taiwan. And we look at we study the sex ratio of sambar at several locations. At highest locations, we can see that there are more females than males. But when we go downhill to lower elevations, there are more and more males in the population. And why is this pattern important? Because in an expanding population, males are more likely to disperse into unfamiliar territories. And females tend to stay at established, safer areas. So this pattern shows that the sambar deer not only grows in number, but also expanding the frontier of their distribution from higher to lower elevations. Okay, the same pattern has been found with zero. The population growth is quite fast and steady in recent years at every elevations. And different from the case in Japan, like Tataka-san just mentioned, the zero is, we don't see any competition between those herbivore species. So the number of zero is also growing, and at every elevations also. And at high elevations in Taiwan, some population of sambar is very close to people because they rely on human urine and feces for the need for minerals. So at high mountains, if you camp at high mountains and you go out from your tent at night, you can see a lot of sambar following behind you and look at you like they are inspecting your urine and feces, and it's quite scary. And because of the large number of herbivores in Taiwan, the vegetation has been changed dramatically, like in Japan. So in this photo, you can see that below this level that can be reached by a sambar, there is pretty much no vegetation on the tree trunks and on the ground. And also at elevations over like 3,000 meters, the dominant species of vegetation is Yushan can, which is a sort of bamboo. And it's so short and dense. So we even call this a graceland, but actually it's bamboo. So it grows like a carpet, very, very dense and short. But at locations where the density of sambar is high, the pattern of this Yushan can become clumpy. They are changed by the trampling of sambar and also the browsing. So the pattern is quite different. Also, the understory vegetation has been changed in recent years. It's a comparison of the same location, pretty much like the case in Japan. Here are some more examples. the Alishan hunting area. This photo is provided by hunters. They said their hunting area has been totally changed by Sambar. And here's another campsite at high mountains. Okay, the Sambar in Taiwan also strip barks on small trees, and they have very strong preference for certain tree species. And this behavior will eventually kill a tree. So in this photo, you can see some dead trees on the border of the forest, because the border of forest is where young tree happened, and these trees are preferred by Sambar. So the border of the trees on the border of a forest are often killed by Sambar. Okay, these are Sambar deer. Okay, my lab has been studying the behavior of the bark stripping behavior of Sambar for over 10 years, and we tested many false hypotheses on the cause of the bark stripping behavior, namely the food shortage hypothesis, the nutrition hypothesis, the digestion hypothesis, and self-medication hypothesis. But actually, we don't have time for the details, so I will focus on the self-medication hypothesis. A self-medication hypothesis says that when animals feel uncomfortable, they may consume the secondary metabolites of plants to treat the illness. So for the case of bark stripping, the condensed tannin in tree bark can actually kill parasites, because the condensed tannin can bind with protein in the parasite cuticle and make the cuticle to shrink. And once the cuticle shrinks, the parasite will die at this stage. They will not be able to grow into next stage. Okay, this is how the condensed tannin kill parasites. So after many years of study, my lab has confirmed that, not confirmed, pretty confident that Sambar eat barks to consume the condensed tannin to kill parasites. So in 2023, we provide anti-parasitic drug in the field for Sambar to take those medicine freely and see what happened. We observed the eggs of parasite per gram of feces of Sambar. Before the treatment in 2023, the eggs per gram of feces has a peak every year in August. But during 2023, when the treatment was conducted, the number of eggs was pretty much eliminated, disappeared. So the medication actually works, okay, to kill the parasites. And we want to know the change of bark stripping intensity. So we observe the number of trees that has been debarked. We count the number of wounds on tree trunks. And we also measure the total size of wounds in our study area. And interestingly, all three indicators decreased by 50%, roughly 50%, during 2023, when we provide anti-parasitic drugs for Sambar. And after we stop the treatment in 2024, all three indicators bounce back to the normal level. So this shows the medication, anti-parasitic medication, has controlled the intensity of bark stripping. Okay, to summarize the whole story, the parasites infest Sambar, and Sambar feels uncomfortable, so they want to treat this illness. They try to eat barks, and this after they eat bugs, they can eliminate the parasites in their body. But Sambar has very strong preference for certain tree species. So this behavior will eventually kill certain tree species and change the tree composition in a forest. And more specifically, in Taiwan, the Taiwan red pine is the pioneering tree species in a forest succession because they are sun-loving. And Taiwan hemlock and Taiwan white fir has to grow under the cover of Taiwan red pine. Then eventually, they will replace Taiwan red pine and become the dominant tree species in the climax of succession. But under the pressure of bug stripping, the succession may stop at the Taiwan red pine stage, or even come back from Taiwan hemlock and white fir to Taiwan red pine. So the implication is that the tree composition of a forest we see now is likely controlled by parasites, or the cooperation of parasites with their host. So I think this is a very interesting finding. So from past few decades, we have learned that the conservation policies is very efficient, very effective in recovering the wildlife population, especially the herbivore in Taiwan. And the bug stripping can be controlled by medication, especially at local and short term. And indigenous people's traditional knowledge is quite important for the management of wildlife, because when the hunting activity was still going on, the population, we don't have a problem of these herbivores. So finally, with the combination of anti-parasitic treatment and the recover of indigenous hunting rights, and also combined with the long-term monitoring network, we hope to reduce the forest damage and also produce a sustainable ungulate populations and eventually enhance the ecosystem balance. Okay, my talk is quite short. That's all I have. Thank you.